So we videoed the lead class. Did it work? It worked. So this is the third time Marla's tried to download, or I'm sorry, like record the lead class. And we tried to do it in Purple Valley for her. It's called Sadaka. It's like her online platform. And I taught a perfect lead class. I made 0 mistakes, and she didn't record it. She forgot to hit record. No? What? Oh, it cut off halfway. So, yeah, of course. So this time we got it. I did make 2 mistakes, though. Only 2. It's like 98%. I'm feeling good about myself today. Yes. Yeah. So we got it. So it's been a while since I've taught the lead class, and it's been a while since I've been around. So I thought I would there's a bunch of new faces, some people obviously I know and some people that I don't know, and or getting to know you. But so we give these conferences for you to have the opportunity to basically ask questions and get a little bit of and less practice and like more theory to a certain extent. And so you get an opportunity just to kind of weigh in from a different standpoint, because in the Mysore room, there's never really a good time to have like a long conversation about whatever, even if like it's opposed. Like we really don't spend a lot of time on it because it gets pretty distracting. Those conversations happen after or later. And so now you have an opportunity to ask some questions if you want to. So does anyone have any questions with regard to their practice or how to navigate something? And if not, we'll just go eat breakfast. Anybody? Wow. Okay. They weren't really excited to hear from me today. I'll say a couple things. The first is that I've been pushing around this idea that, we want Ashtanga yoga to be accessible. We really do. We want it to be accessible. Like we want to find ways for people to practice and to show up and do their best, because if you continue to show up here, what it means is that it actually works. And like if you feel this, the power of the practice, and you feel sort of like this transformation that happens from 6 a.m. to 7:30 on Fridays or also during the week, maybe the same time, it opens up our hearts and opens up our minds and gives us an opportunity to look through a different lens outside of our insecurities and outside of our stories that we tell ourselves, and how we don't measure up or how we don't fit in or not good enough or everyone's going to leave me or whatever the story is that gets played in your head. There's only so many that can happen. Actually recently just saw a list of all the things that negative that you can say in your head and what it's identified, abandonment, or like all the things that our parents screwed up for us. Not kidding, most of it comes there. But my point being is that you get done with this and you realize that the stories that you're telling yourself are, they're different, or they matter less. And and so we're currently like in this place of like, hey, you know what, we need to make this accessible for more people. But the reality of the situation is that like this is a pretty exclusive thing. It is. And we can make it accessible and we can invite everyone in. But what we do in here, like it has to be signed up for. Like you're signing up for it. Like I joked with maybe you yesterday. Yeah, Maddie yesterday. I said, you have a membership to this, And that makes it exclusive. Not only the membership, but like this hard work that we do makes it exclusive. because every person that you talk to, when you say yoga, they don't think of what we're doing here. They don't. They think we're laying around and like maybe saying ohms or like trying to enter the Zen state or whatever it is. And there's nothing against any of that style of yoga. I don't care. Like I could care less. They definitely don't think of Ashtanga yoga when they think of yoga. Like it's not popular enough. Like it's not mainstream, which also again makes it a little exclusive. You know, so we can have this accessibility conversation, but you really have to want it. Like we can't force you to be here. Like you have to want to come here. You have to want to be different, you know? And I mean, I joke a lot of times because like the harder your practice has to be, the more poses that you have to do, you might be more screwed up than the person who only has to do half primary. Everyone hear that? Yeah. And I do a lot of poses. And just to call a spade a spade. And it's just like, there's an opportunity for us to show up here and be the best versions of ourselves. But, you know, we can't guilt you. We can't shame you. We can't, I mean, you might even say like, to a certain extent, we can't really motivate you. Like that motivation has to come from yourself. And what I've come to realize is that like, not only do we sign up for it, but like, I mean, we put our time, energy, we change our lifestyle to fit in here. And if you don't do that stuff, then what happens is you don't stick around. And I don't understand, I really don't understand how it's possible to practice and never once have I ever said to myself, like, I wish I wouldn't have practiced. Like never once have I ever said that to myself. I've never laid down, even if I like, you know, kind of aggravate something in my practice, I've never been like, I wish I wouldn't have shown up today, you know? But I know so many people that literally cannot get their asses out of bed. They can't get their butts out of bed. And there's also people that we practiced with for months or years that have essentially gone back to sleep. That said, like, this doesn't matter anymore. And I don't know how to live like that, folks. Like, I don't know how that occurs. Where like all of a sudden, like you sit there and you go like, yeah, this doesn't matter anymore. At what point could I arrive where I say like, this doesn't matter anymore? Like if I'm taking an honest look, and this is just like obviously subjective, just, you know, me, but maybe like it relates to you. My whole life has changed as a result of it. It continues to change. It helps me stay sober. It helps me make better decisions. It's got me people around me that are positive influences instead of negative influences. You know, healthy environments instead of unhealthy environments. I make different decisions based off of like my yoga practice. And yeah, some of them are restrictions, like I'm not going to eat that food or I'm going to go to bed early. And, you know, that's a little bit of discipline. But like, I feel better based off of those choices instead of like, hey, I'm going to stay up until 2 o'clock in the morning every morning. And, you know, like, I don't even know. What do you do at 2 o'clock in the morning? You know, like surf the internet? Like, yeah, I don't even know. I mean, I wake up for practice at that time, you know? So, you know, so I've been like throwing around this idea because, I mean, what brings you here? Like, what makes you get out of bed? Like, is it your goals? Is it your why? Because I heard this thing and the guy said, you know, like every person who runs the 100-meter, and they just used this track and field thing as a, you know, sort of for people to understand, but it could be anything. Like every person on the line in the Olympics, their goal is to win, right? They're not like going there and like thinking like, oh, okay, I'm going to get, you know, I'm going to try and get 5th. Like no one enters the race. No one's goal is like, hey, I'm going to win the race of like, you know, or like everyone's goal is like, I'm going to win the race. Never that I'm going to come in 3rd or I'm going to be last. Like no one tries that. All of their goals are the exact same. But only one person wins. And it's not the fact that they have a goal. It's actually the fact that they have systems, they have workouts, they have other things that get them to be better than the other person. So it actually boils down to your systems that you have in order to achieve number one. Now, in yoga, like, of course, like, we're not trying to go for number one. I'm just using the sports analogy a little bit. But like, the fact of the matter is like, you know, if you want to do different things, you want to put your leg behind your head, like, you want to finish the primary series or stand up from a drop back or any of these kind of things, like, it has to be boiled down to not the goal of like, hey, I'm going to get this. It's more the systems that are required in order to get you there. Does that make sense for everyone? Because everyone has the same goal. I want to do this. I want to do that. I want, you know, like, everyone has a similar goal. And so it's the person who's like saying to themselves, like, hey, yeah, I am going to go to bed because it matters to me. And I'm not going to watch that show because it aggravates my nervous system, or I'm not going to eat that food because I don't think I'm going to be able to bind. And this is different than the discipline of just like showing up. This is the discipline in all areas of our lives. I'm going to go to that AA meeting. I'm going to call my sponsor. I'm going to go see a therapist. I'm going to, you know, whatever it is, the system that is required in order for us to be better and different, and so that we can actually achieve what we want to achieve. Because most of the time, you know, we want to, I mean, a lot of times, I think we set out this goal, but it's not backed up by any action at all. It's not. We say we want it, we don't really do it. Me included, you know? It's hard. And so, like, from accessibility all the way to like, okay, well, where is this motivation or these disciplines that I need in order for me to achieve like a different place? Because I can guarantee that if you don't have the systems, I mean, if you don't have a goal, I think the goal is healthy. It's not a bad thing, but you have a goal. I think that if you have the systems that are available, like, you know, that set you up for success, then what happens is we stay committed to it and we end up in a completely different place. And I can guarantee that if there's not systems, there's only a goal, and you're not working towards it, not being very deliberate, I can guarantee the next time I show up here, you'll be in the same place. I can guarantee that you will, you know, in your personal life or your professional life, you will be in the exact same place. And it happens over and over again. I mean, I travel to places, I go to them like once a year, and you'd be really surprised. There's not a lot of people that I go and I'm like, wow, this person's made a bunch of progress. Most of the time, it's that they've plateaued. They're stuck in their stories of how they're not good enough or how they can't change, you know? And in order to make people feel better about that, we try and make it a little bit more accessible. And I'm sorry, like, sometimes, you know, we add the block, we add the strap, and there's nothing wrong with any of that stuff. It's just that sometimes the systems of what we're trying to do and where we're trying to go do not support our actual growth. And you have to be able to look in the mirror and you have to say, like, I'm actually the bad guy. Like, no one else out there is like the bad guy. We're the bad guy. We look back at ourselves and we say, like, yeah, I'm actually standing in my own way. And I can tell you, based off of my experience, that is the hardest pill to swallow. It is. To sit there and go like, yeah, it's actually my lack of discipline, my lack of commitment, my fear of change, my fear of success, my fear of like the unknown that stands in the way of me becoming the person that I want to be. And if you want to be the person that, you know, like you have in your dreams or whatever you want to call it, you're going to have to be really uncomfortable for a really long time, and you're going to have to be okay with failing. And not all of us are okay with that. I spent the last 8 weeks in different countries, like traveling around, and I spent a lot of time by myself. And I can tell you that all of this stuff, I'm no better than you. I'm a human. I deal with the same exact stuff, you know, teach a lot. You know, I want to be home more. I want to be available to you guys more. I travel to inspire people, to get them motivated, to help them understand, like, you know, there's a different way of being. And it's, I mean, it's not easy what I'm doing. A lot of our jobs are not easy what we're doing. not just mine, but I've been dealing with this stuff too, because you got to figure out like, okay, well, what do you want? How do you work for it? What's the systems that are, that you can do in order to support it? And I have a lot of them, but like in order to like get to the next level, might require different ones. Yeah. And it's scary. Change is scary. It's weird too. And this is a different thing. Each yogashala that I go to has a different like deity quality. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but every yoga place has a different deity quality. Some of them feel like you walk in, they feel like Jesus Christ, like not in vain. Like they actually feel like the compassion, the sort of like the embodiment of like what Christ has. Other times it feels like Ganesh. This place, AYC, it feels like Shiva. It does. And the real difference between like, if you compare like a Ganesh to a Shiva studio is that really like Ganesh feels like you get a warm hug. And a Vishnu studio feels like you're sustained. It feels like confident and it feels like grounded. And you walk into a Shiva studio and it feels like you're going to lose the things that you care about or that you think you care about to get something better, which feels way different than a Vishnu studio, because like a Vishnu, like basically he embodies like this sustained quality of like, continuity of good, or you trade in good for better. But that's not necessarily the case. Sometimes like, like a Shiva studio feels like you transform everything. Everything dies and it becomes something brand new. And like, that's what my life has been about. Where like sometimes like things feel like they have to crumble in order for them to be better. And man, that's like a really hard pill to swallow as well. Yeah. So the studio that I was in, Sao Paulo, it felt like a warm hug. It felt like Ganesh. People were warm in Brazil and very friendly and very, loving towards one another and that kind of stuff. And it felt really good to be in these different communities and see sort of like how they interact with one another, because it doesn't feel like that here. It doesn't. It feels like every day, like we lose a little bit of ourselves, like, and I teach like this too, that we lose a little bit of ourselves to gain something different, something better that we care about. It's in the future that we might not even have words for. But there's this gnawing feeling that it's supposed to be somewhere else than where I'm at right now. For all of us, not just me. So, and if you want that, then you're going to have to work for it. And you're going to have to have the systems in order to achieve it. Whether it's like, hey, I want a new career, I want to start a yogashala, or I want a bigger community, or change relationship, whatever it is. And none of it's easier. And none of it's easy, but I do think that it gets easier with practice. Yeah. Does any of that make sense? Or just to me? Yeah, so thanks for letting me think about that today. I'm grateful to be back. I'll be in Savannah. So all the Savannah people, please prepare yourself. And then we have a revival coming up. There's one spot in the revival if you want to come. Bianca's coming all the way from the Netherlands. Yeah. We got like, I think 11 or 12 people, something like that. And it's going to be small, intimate. But if you want to come, you're more than welcome to. I'm here until Sunday, so like whether you're in person or online or any of that stuff, and I'll take Monday off. Both Melissas will cover, and then I'll be on Tuesday yeah, for a couple days, and then I'll be back the following week, full go. All right. So thanks for letting me share today, and thanks for being here. Yeah, and thanks for being students. Love you all.
Thanks, Taylor.
Thank you.
Taylor.
Ese no sirve.